Having a kid is one of the most wonderful and rewarding things that you will ever do in your life. And we all know that men who have kids should be fathers to their kids, should be willing to take care of their kids financially and emotionally, and make sure that they grow up to be good people. But what happens if you went ahead as a man and accidentally got someone pregnant? Now, of course, you'd still be on the hook to take care of your kid. You would also probably be on the hook for child support if you decided not to stay with that woman. But there are lawmakers out there that are trying to pass a law where you would be on the hook for half the expenses for not only the medical expenses, but also any type of food expenses, maternity clothes, birthing classes, car mileage, etc. They feel that men that get women pregnant and pregnators should be on the hook for more. What up, gents? Welcome to the Simsational Gent. I am your host, Sean C. And the article that we're going to bring up today is from Miss Magazine. It is a feminist with an F article, in which case they talk about making impregnators pay their fair share. The thing that I want to get out to you guys is what is the proposed law that they're trying to push in Pennsylvania and how it can affect you as a man, especially if you meet the wrong woman. Now listen, as you guys may or may not know, I am on the go. I am traveling, and while I am traveling, I use Surfshark. And the reason why I use Surfshark is because I like to keep my privacy, and I also like to watch my shows back in the US. So there are many things that Surfshark may do for you. And here we are affiliates of Surfshark. If you go to surfshark.deals/gent, type in the code GENT, Gent, and get 83% off your subscription plus 3 additional months. This is one of the best VPNs on the market, and I couldn't be happier with my subscription to Surfshark. Get yours too. More than a magazine, it's a movement. Long before a leaked Supreme Court draft opinion revealed that by summer Roe versus Wade will likely be overturned, only pregnant people bore the burden of pregnancy. That kind of makes sense. If you can get pregnant, you're bearing the burden of it. See, I'm kind of tired of these type of arguments where it's like, you're going to make me as a man feel bad because I can't carry a baby. Like, it's my fault that biologically I can't do it. Does that make sense? I don't understand why people make arguments about things that we can't change. But that's neither here nor there. Not just physically bear the burden, but also financially. Impregnators have always had the choice to walk away. Sure, they could be on the hook for child support after birth, which actually ensnares a lot of men. But what if they could be held responsible for their actions before, from the moment of conception, just as a pregnant person is? So already they're throwing out the question, what if a man could be held financially liable, not from when the baby's born, but from the moment of conception? We'll get back to that in a little bit. That question has led Pennsylvania State Representative to begin drafting a law to hold impregnators accountable. Legislation proposed by Emily Kincaid and Christopher Rabb focuses on the civil offense of wrongful conception. The civil offense of wrongful conception. Now, for people that are supposed to be pro-life, is there any such thing as a wrongful conception? I'm just saying, you're gonna be pro-life. Is there anything such a wrongful conception? Isn't it like God's will or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my head. Making it a civil offense for wrongful conception would allow pregnant people to financially recover 50% of all pregnancy-related costs, Kincaid said. Not just medical bills, but also the cost of maternity clothes, increased food expenses, birthing classes, doula care, mileage for travel to medical appointments, nursery furniture, supplies, and many other expenses that occur during the pregnancy. So here it is that if you were with your woman, some of these things that you're gonna cover, right? You should be hoping to help your woman cover these costs. We're gonna get into the danger of this law, but I want y'all to keep in mind all the things that it is asking you to potentially pay from the moment of conception. We'll get back to that. It would also cover other pregnancy-related costs postpartum after the baby's born. The cost of pregnancy does not stop after birth, Kincaid added. Postpartum, a new parent can have pregnancy-related costs up to a year. Impregnators must be held responsible to equally cover all expenses. In their mind, and what they're trying to say is that a man should be responsible for covering all the costs that happens during pregnancy. Now hear me out on this. As a man, if you get someone pregnant, it is your responsibility financially and physically to try to be the best or to be a father to your child, to make sure that you are taking care of your child. I want to make sure that I make that clear. I fully believe that here on the Simsational Gent. But what they're asking is above and beyond. Stay with me. And I'm sure you guys have questions as well, because I know I do. I'm like, now, while Rab acknowledged that the proposed law could be seen as radical proposition, it's fundamentally fair since the full physical and financial weight of a pregnancy, termination, miscarriage, stillbirth, or successful delivery and postnatal care are currently borne only by the impregnated person. Full physical and financial weight of a pregnant are currently borne only by the impregnated person. So this is kind of offensive because right now I can see the physical burden of having a pregnancy. Yes, that person that's pregnant is the one that's going to be affected by this thing. But there are women that aren't bearing the full financial weight of pregnancy. Yes, there are those costs that take place, but really it's you, the taxpayer. If a woman can't afford to have a child or pay for her own pregnancy, the woman signs up for Medicaid, I believe, and then it is paid out of tax money to be able to pay for this woman's pregnancy. So the full financial weight isn't taken on by the woman by herself. It's you. Taxpayers pay for that. It's me, taxpayer, that pays for it. That's like, well, what happened? I know a lot of poor women that have babies. Where do they get all that money from? Right? Wasn't them. It came from somewhere. It came from you. It came from me. Now they always got to take it to this point. You could tell this is a Eminist magazine with an F. There are presently no laws in any U.S. state impinging on the bodily autonomy of men, primarily cisgender and heterosexual, Rab pointed out, while the government continues to impose innumerable restrictions on women and girls. So I believe that some of this is a reaction to what's going on with Roe versus Wade. And so now they're like, okay, well, if this is going to be the case, then we're going to come and say, if all babies have to be born, we're going to impose this law that is going to make it such a financial burden on men that hopefully the law is changed. I don't know. It seems like a game to me. Both Rab and Kincaid, so both the man and the female representative of the state of Pennsylvania, both see this as a sexist double standard that's too often underestimated, misunderstood, ignored by cisgender men across the political spectrum, right? So now we're talking about getting political with this. They're looking at this, since women are being compelled to have children, then this law, I believe, is proposed as a counteraction to the breakdown of Roe versus Wade, all right? So this is somebody coming up with, in their head, a good idea in order to be able to counteract Roe versus Wade. I'm not going to go ahead and read the rest of the article. I'm going to link this article down below. But the questions that I have that I want you guys to keep in mind, if you have a child with a woman, then you need to go ahead and be financially responsible for your kid, okay? I totally believe that. Here's my problem. Let's say that what happens in a case where a woman tampers with the condom, or a case where a woman tells you she's on birth control but gets off of it. We don't punish women for that. We don't make it a civil offense if a woman convinces you that she's on birth control and then you find out that she wasn't because she was trying to entrap you. What about if a woman tampers with birth control that you have, right, or that they have, just so that you can get pregnant? We don't imprison women for that. So when we talk about double standards, especially in this arena, It can get a little bit touchy. But also think about it. Think about a woman that entrapped a man or entrapped a man just so that she has someone to financially take on the burden that she incurs. It says from the moment of conception. So think about this. You cannot test to see if a baby is somebody's actual child until long term into the pregnancy. And even some of those procedures, amniocentesis is one of those things that could be risky to the child in certain cases. And you would be on the hook for it. Could a woman say that this dude is my baby's father, and so I want to put him on prenatal child support? Would you be on the hook for it? What about all the women that find out about the kids that aren't theirs? If a woman lies about that, would she be legally liable for the lie that she told that caused me to have to pay for all those prenatal and postpartum items that she decides to buy? What if she decides to run up the ticket? She knows she has a certain amount of money, so if I go ahead and buy higher ticket items, the man is on cost, or on, the man is responsible for half of that, right? Is that fair? Is there a cap on the amount that she can spend to do all this stuff? These are kind of questions that you guys need to ask. I bring this up, and I thought this article was really important because if a law like this passes, this is going to affect you guys, man. If you're out there and you're not being safe, you're not watching who you're with, what would stop a woman from using this to her advantage and lie in order to get you to be on the hook? If you're out there already and you're not working on yourself and you're not working on your purpose, gents, this is the type of law that could get you ensnared and trapped and financially break you. Especially if you're a normal guy. If you're making an average salary, this law would stop you in your livelihood in its tracks. And the worst thing that I want you to remember, and this is the last thing I'm gonna say, who this law affect the most? This law doesn't just affect all men, but this would disproportionately affect the Black community. Now let me tell you, there are men that aren't handling their business as far as taking care of their kids and paying their fair share. But imagine, if you will, if it's already hard enough to deal with the court system when it comes to these type of topics. Could you imagine that if a woman could put you on prenatal child support and then you not the dad, but financially it is breaking your back? What are you gonna do about it then? What happens to that guy? Could ruin somebody's life, because we know that the court system hasn't caught up to making it fair between men and women when it comes to kids. What they're really concerned about is breaking you. Question of the day: do you think that this law is fair? Do you think that this law should be enacted? And if so, why do you think that a law like this is important to have on the books? If you don't agree with it, let me know why you think this law is totally unfair and how you think it's going to affect men in the future going forward if it passes. I want to hear from you. Let's get the conversation started down below. If you liked what you just saw, check out this video right here. I know you're going to love it.